Welcome to the Unquendor Guitars workshop, and in this video I'm going to take a look at a guitar a customer brought in for me to take a look at and improve the playability. As you can see, it's a Gibson, and let's see what's in the case. It's a Gibson Les Paul Custom, apparently. So the client said it was a bit unplayable, it had tuning stability issues, fret buzz, yeah, almost unplayable. So yeah, let's see if I can find out what's wrong with it, and most importantly, if I can fix it and make this a nice playing instrument again. I did a quick research on the serial number of this guitar, and according to the Gibson website, this guitar is made December the 21st in 1986 in the Nashville factory. In the Memphis factory, the Gibson custom facility in Memphis. So it's not as old as I thought it would be. 86. I'm older than this guitar is. It's in a bit of a rough shape, but yeah, some natural relicking, I presume. So let's take a look at the nut, and I can already see the nut slots are a bit worn out, oddly shaped, and the string is even in real tight. It's almost wedged in, and this means when you tune the guitar, the string will get caught on the nut slot itself, and while playing it ever so slightly gives a bit, yeah, which means by every time you pluck the string it will detune a little. So I have to change the nut. Hopefully adjusting the truss rod gets rid of the back bow, and I maybe have to dress or polish these frets a little. They're a bit flat at the top, there's maybe a recrown, and that should improve the playability a lot. So yeah, let me take off the strings and let's see what's wrong with this guitar, except from the obvious bits. I always do a very thorough investigation on the instrument before doing any actual work, and then I will contact my client and discuss what needs to be done and what he wants me to do on his guitar. For example, there's a cracked pickup ring on this guitar, and I offered to replace it, but my client wanted this guitar to be as original as possible, even with a broken pickup ring. So any major issues, I've agreed with him to do at least a nut change and a basic setup, and for any additional work I contact my client and discuss what I think that needs to be done and what he's willing to let me do on his guitar. So yeah, let's first examine the truss rod, and hooray, it isn't a dual action truss rod. This fretboard has leveled nicely, like I hoped, and now it's time to check the fretwork using a fret rocker. And I can already see there is some damage on some of the frets. Yeah, and there's some rock here. Wow, over the entire fret. Yeah, this explains why my customer had fret buzz while playing this guitar. Yeah, and unfortunately for me and my customer, it seems like it's the entire neck, so I can't get away with spot leveling. I need to level the entire fretboard, or at least the frets. But before I can start leveling the frets, I need to remove the nut, and it has to be replaced anyway. And I'm a little scared because I can see a shiny edge here and on the other side as well. So I suspect this nut is glued in tight with a lot of super glue. So fingers crossed I can remove it. And to remove a nut, usually you can tap it slightly, and I'm going to use a small hammer and a punch to hopefully loosen the nut enough so I can remove it. I'm a little scared, to be honest. Yeah, it's glued in place. And the downside is I can't use heat or anything to remove it or to dissolve the glue. So hopefully, if I keep tapping it lightly, it will pop free eventually. But I have a sneaky suspicion I'm out of luck, and I have to come up with a different solution without damaging the guitar. Here we go. Whew. I'm in luck. Here we go. So I'm glad I didn't went on to take drastic measures straight away. Not too bad. Yeah, but as you can see, probably there's a lot of super glue here, and on the other side as well. Instead of using 2 drops on the underside, they stuck it to the front of the fretboard. So next job is to clean up the fret slot, and yeah, then we can start leveling the frets. So to clean out the underside of the fretboard, I'm going to use a very small chisel and just remove some of the glue. The same goes for the side. Very carefully. Yeah, there was really a lot of glue in the nut slot, but hopefully I'm there. Let's slide it in. Nice and tight fit. It sits nice at the bottom as well, and the way I check the seating of the nut is by pressing on both sides, and if it doesn't rock, I know I have a good seated nut. It doesn't move back and forward at all, sideways, nope. so it sits in perfectly. Time to start leveling the frets. Oh, let's get it out. Yeah, here we have it. It's out. So let's put the nut aside and start leveling the frets. To level the frets, I'm first going to use a permanent marker to mark the top of each fret. And marking the tops of each frets help me to keep track while sanding down and leveling the frets that I've hit all the frets with the sandpaper. And yeah, so they're all marked, and just in case I'm going to mask off this guitar body. I don't want to damage it, of course. I don't want any of the dust and, how do you call it, grit from the frets ending up in the pickup cavity. Take the trusty leveling beam, and I'm using 280 grit, I believe. 240 grit sandpaper, and just by the weight of the leveling beam I'm going to pass it over the frets. And I can already see where the high spots are, because there the permanent mark has disappeared. And I'm going to repeat this for the entire fretboard. We're done with leveling. Now I'm going to mask off the fretboard and start re-crowning the frets. So let me mask off the fretboard real quick. So after leveling the frets and masking off the fretboard, it's time to mark all the fret once again. All the tops, I want them clearly marked, and this is to keep track of what I'm doing during re-crowning. After re-crowning all the frets, it's time to do some fret end dressing. My client requested specifically if I could do my Unquendor style bullet type fret ends, so that's what I'm going to try. It will be a bit harder because the angle on the edges is a bit different than what I usually do, and this fretboard has a bound edge, so I don't know if I can get in close enough with my fret and dressing file without damaging the binding. So I have to be very careful, but I'll give it my best shot. So I've got nicely dressed fret ends, and the only thing is my frets are full of scratches at the moment, and I'm going to use a whole bunch of different grits of sandpaper, going from 400 all the way up to 2000 in several steps, and I'm going to gently remove all the scratches. The key thing is I still have a little blue line visible on the top of each fret. That means all my frets are still nice and level, untouched with the recrowning and the fret end dressing. And I'm going to try and not remove the blue line until I think 1500 grit sandpaper. That way I can polish out the scratches from leveling, but I don't adjust the height of the fret that much. It's neglectable, the amount you take off with 1500 and 2000 grit sandpaper. After sanding, fine sanding or polishing the frets, I'm now going to use my Dremel and a piece of polishing compound to really polish out these frets. Usually I use my fret polishing rubbers, but I want to try the Dremel just to save a lot of time. It took me way longer than I expected to get these frets up to the point that they are now. Let's try a Dremel. I've got my foot switch right here. I really love my foot switch for the Dremel. And let's see how this goes. Oh yeah, take a look at this. This is way faster than doing it with polishing rubbers. Let's continue. So, nice and easy job. Done rather quickly, much quicker than using the fret polishing rubbers, of course. I've never done this before with my Dremel. It always seemed a bit of a hassle, but yeah, it works great, to be honest. Alright, with the masking tape removed, it's time to clean the fretboard. And there's a bit of a rough spot here, so I have to attend to that. But first, let's use some fretboard cleaner to clean off years of dirt and grime from this fretboard. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but there are just a couple of positions and that's all the dirt that's coming off this fretboard. This guitar has been played a lot, I can tell. So maybe you noticed a mistake I made, and very clearly I first did the fret work and I had nicely polished frets, and then I started sanding the fretboard. Initially I didn't plan on doing anything to the fretboard, but after speaking to my client, I decided to do something about these marks on the fretboard as well. But of course, if you want to do it yourself, first do the fretboard and then polish your frets. I had to, of course, repolish the frets because I hit them with the sandpaper. So now that the fretboard is tuned, let's call it tuned a little, the frets are polished, I'm going to use some fretboard restorative oil, or a type of lemon oil, to add some nutrition back into the fretboard and to polish it out a little more. Oh, shake it. And then it's finally time to start setting up this guitar. Yeah, I'm going to clean off this guitar some more. It will take a while and it doesn't make for a very interesting video. And I'll come back to you when I put in the nut and start stringing up this guitar. So, the guitar is nice and clean now. Wow, I'm looking at the little screen of my camera and you can really see it shine. Again, it was a bit dull and there are still some dull spots in the lacquer here and there from the touching and the use of the guitar, of course. And it isn't a problem, it doesn't hinder any playability of the guitar, it's just cosmetics. And like I said, it's okay to see the guitar's age. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, just make sure it's nice and clean, and yeah, and it plays absolutely fantastic. And well, let's hope it's going to play absolutely fantastic. I said this, I think, in some of my previous videos. The main thing about a guitar is it has to play well. It has to first play well. Secondly, it has to sound amazing. The sound is good. And only in the third place is the looks, and then it has to look good, because yeah, a pretty guitar that doesn't play or sound well is just a very expensive wall hanger, a piece of art maybe, and that's it. You have a pretty guitar, but you don't want to play it because it doesn't play very well. So in my opinion, it's a bit of my vision, is a guitar first of all has to play excellent. It has to, the most important thing is the playability of an instrument. It has to play very well. It has to sound good, of course, because yeah, a guitar that plays very well but sounds awful is also unusable. And finally, it has to look apart. It has to be a gorgeous instrument as well. But you can have a very ugly guitar, but if it sounds great and it plays awesome, yeah, why not use it? So now the body is nice and clean, I can start reassembling and setting up this guitar. Hardware. Alright, the main parts are on the guitar now. Where's my new nut? It's right here. Yeah, it fits rather well. Yeah, let's put on 2 strings before I glue this one in place. Maybe I have to adjust it just a little. I always use elixir strings on my guitars. I really like elixir strings. And in this case it's a 9-46 set, so it's a bit heavier on the bass side. So I've got my nut sanded down to almost the correct height. So I have to only do minimum adjustments to the string slots. And I'm going to fix it in place with just 2 little drops of super glue, hopefully. And I like these 2 little holes that are in the underside of this nut. So just 2 tiny drops. It's only to prevent sideways movement, because it's in very, very tight. Make sure it aligns correctly with the neck. Press it in. Put on 2 strings to clamp it down. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I have some filing to do. Bass side is probably fine. Yeah, on the E string it needs a little filing. And I'm going to use my nut slotting files, and they are the same as the string. And this is a tusk nut from Graftec. It's made of a graphite compound, and it isn't the easiest material to file down. It's so slick, even your file has a hard time getting a grip on it. So sometimes it seems like you're hardly removing any material. And this is something I do by feel. Yeah, let's keep it at that for now. Bass string looks fine. Let's put on some of the other strings. Alright, all the strings are on, and I went ahead and I did the rest of the nut slots. I had to file them in just ever so slightly. And now let's check the action. Let's check the truss rod first, of course. Very important before you do anything. Check if the neck is still nice and straight with all the strings on. It's absolutely perfect. It has just a slight bow in it, and that's absolutely what you want. It allows for the oscillation of the strings. And the action straight away feels real good. I use a regular ruler to set the action. And I can raise it just a little on the treble side. Raise it ever so slightly on the bass side. Yeah, looks good. Let's tune her up. I know you should tune a guitar in the playing position. And always tune up, never tune down. Tune guitar. and no string boss whatsoever at the moment. Yeah, I'm very happy with this end result. Of course, I have to do the intonation of this guitar. What I usually do is I let it rest for at least a day with strings on. I'm going to play it somewhat so everything sets again, because it has been without strings for a couple of days now, and it has to adjust again, in my opinion, to the string tension and such. So I leave it for a day and do the intonation tomorrow. Maybe it's already, I don't know, I haven't checked. Huh, well, spot on. Spot on also, so maybe I don't have to do anything with it. Let me know. I always intonate my guitars on the fretted 12th position instead of the what you call it, the harmonic on the 12th, because I think, yeah, it's better to have it in tune when fretted, because that's the note you're going to play instead of the harmonic. So let me know in the comments down below, when intonating a guitar, what do you prefer? Intonate it on the harmonic on the 12th fret, or on the fretted note on the 12th fret? Yeah, or do you have any other methods? Let me know in the comment section down below. Yeah, I'm going to let this rest for a couple of days. Maybe tomorrow I come back to set the intonation and close off this video. See you in a moment. Setting the intonation on a tunomatic bridge, so this Gibson style bridge, fairly easy. If your 12th fret note is sharp, the string needs to be lengthened, so you have to adjust the little screw to move the saddle backwards. If it's a little flat, then the string needs to be shortened, so you have to adjust the screw and move the saddle forward. Yeah, it's time to contact my customer so he can come and pick her up. And I now did a basic setup, but of course when my client gets here I can do a setup according to his taste. I can adjust it a little so he's fully satisfied with this yeah, maintenance job on his guitar, so to say. So I hope you got some useful tips or tricks from this video, or you just enjoyed watching it. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section down below with any questions, remarks whatsoever. And consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out and you get notified when I upload a new guitar video. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you all in the next video. But until then, have a nice week.